great to be here today with you. Thank you so much for agreeing to this and doing this with me.
Of course. I'm so happy to be here and to speak on whatever moves through. This idea of no limits feels really inspiring. So I love that you've invited me. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I love your energy. It's like, first time I met you, I was like, I need to have you on my podcast. The energy is just so amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. And I do a lot of energy work, and I'd love to speak on that today if you'd like, but thanks for noticing, because it really starts with the energy for me and then expands out in the world. When we talk about no limits, that's really
thank you. Yeah. So supportive. But today we are going to talk about mostly you're a business coach, right?
Yep, I'm a creative business coach to coaches and healers and intuitive coaches. It's really lovely.
So this is going to be the main topic, but I would really like to know your story first and how you got here, because like for me this place Guatemala here is just so magical, and I feel it somehow calls in very special people, and I'm so interested in hearing your story and like where are you from, where did you grow up?
Yeah, well, let's start there. I love that. It was a waxing gibbous moon on a Wednesday, but I was born and raised by in a working class neighborhood with a single mother household. And this is why I talk a lot about money and business, because I didn't grow up with wealth or wealth consciousness. And I always kind of felt, even amongst my other friends in the working class neighborhood, kind of like the one without the money, even amongst people without money. And it was with my friends, and remember not being able to do a lot of things in school or outside of school. Friends are being sent to camp, lots of things that had to do with money. I realized at an early age that money was important and that I was someone who didn't have it. So from there, I worked really hard to send myself and get to college and get scholarships for that. And I went all the way to get a master's degree, and I lived on the East Coast of the US. I grew up there, and then I drove cross country, like super inspired, like I'm going to take on the world. And I got a master's degree in California, which is super fun, you know, for East Coast girl to like be near LA and to be near these oceans and the beauty of the palm trees in California. And so from that moment, I had this like traveler's itch, this idea that where we grew up is one, you know, piece. It's one piece to the whole puzzle. But as soon as some of us start to like inch out and see more parts of the world, it's like, for those of us who are really interested in that, it starts the whole big journey. So I got a master's degree, and then I lived in Hawaii for a while and served as a psychotherapist, and that was really lovely. And then one day I had a trauma at work where I was actually attacked by one of my clients.
Oh, wow.
And that led to the story of, you know, I was working, I had a great paycheck, I was having enough money to have a house near the beach in Hawaii, so that's pretty good. I felt really fulfilled and like, okay, I had done my thing, right? I went to school, got a master's degree, had a big girl job, like serving, and I just was unhappy. And you know, when you get these little nods from the universe of like, hey, you're not happy here, and if you don't listen to the voice of creativity, something will happen. So that's what I believe happened when the young man attacked me, that it was like, if I'm not going to quit this job and go travel the world, like my heart wants, that the universe is going to make it so that happens. So I couldn't go back to work. And then it brought me back into this idea of money again, and how we earn it, and abundance, and what we actually need to live. And I sold everything, and I went to Thailand to get a yoga teacher training, and got certified in yoga, and realized, oh, what I thought I needed and what I had an abundance of was things. I did have an abundance of things, and don't get me wrong, I love things. I let go of all my things only so that I could collect better, more quality things. But that was a process as well. But I let go of that life. I let go of a lot of material possessions, and I started traveling the world with almost no money and dumpster diving, earning a living through playing music and volunteering. And it was okay for a while. It was very beautiful. I went to over 30 something countries and lived a psychology life. Like, I was still very interested in human behavior, but I was getting to be with the people and understand human behavior from that lens of actually living within different cultures. And then finally, I was in Thailand again. I had made it around the world and back, and I was in Thailand working for my yoga teacher for minimum wage, like making beds. Here I had a master's degree, and I was like making beds in trade to like live. And I found out I had gallstones, and gallstones are painful. And it's another kind of indication of the universe. Everything is energy, right? And then a lot of energetic practices and Taoist belief, the gallbladder is around making decisions, and it's around anger. And I had all this anger because I wasn't activating my gifts. I no matter what country I ran away to try to find myself, I didn't find my purpose there. I go to that country. Where's my purpose? Hello, have you seen my purpose? Anyone? And no one gave it to me. And then I was really sick, doubled over in pain, but I didn't have enough money to fly home, to get doctors visits, even eat more nourishing food. Yeah, Thailand was great, but it was spicy AF. So that would activate it. And I needed help, and I needed proper help, paid for help. And I couldn't afford it. And at that moment, it hit me like a lightning bolt. Like, I never want to be the woman who can't afford something again. And I never want to work for someone else again. Because it wasn't like, oh, I just want to be wealthy, because that's part of it. But it was like, I must activate my gifts in a way that I am so abundant, so wealthy, that I can afford anything I want, and I can give freely. And if there's someone else in help that has gallstones or whatever it is, that I can also just provide, because I know what that's like. And I did. I moved home. Like, I'm 35 at that point, and I go back to my mom's couch and I said, that's it. I'm not working for $5 yoga classes. I'm not gonna teach a sound healing workshop that no one comes to. And I end up making, like, if I looked at my revenue back then, it was like maybe like $300 a month. Like, I don't know how I lived. I mean, I know I lived. I volunteered and I dumpster dove and I sang in the streets, but like, I didn't count my coins. Like, counted up my coins at the end of the month I just like lived. And it was okay until it wasn't. And then I moved home and I started my business, and it's been up since. To last year was $101,000 made with my own work in the world, and really working like 20 hours a week. Like, I probably could have made more, but I was like, it's important for me to, after leaving all these, bosses that were like, this is what you got to do, when you got to do it, and when the deadline is, to go like, this year I'm going to make $100,000 in the most easeful way possible. I doubled my income from the year before, and I will just keep rising. And so keep on watching. But that's my work in the world. And that's my purpose, is to help people gain financial freedom no matter their circumstance. And that's what brought me here. I actually, like, after I started the business, I left the mom's couch. I actually I still worked a waitressing job. I put out my first offer. 9 people bought it, a course on creative enhancement. Then I put on a songwriting course, and I took all that money and I flew to Alaska and I spent it all in a weekend. And then I was like, well, where can I go now to reestablish? And I came down here 3 years ago. I had visited here, but I came down here 3 years ago because of the vortex and the water and this abundant energy and the beauty all around. I knew I need to work in beauty. I need to work in a place where it's light. It's springtime all the time. Winter's not for this girl. Too brown for that. And yeah, and I did it. And over the last 3 years, I focused, but I still had so much time freedom and so much fun freedom and so much control, really, over my own time and freedom and deciding who I get to work with and deciding who I get to be and the hours I want to work. And I never wanted to hustle again. So I really set up my business to make as much money as possible, but in a way that I felt really in integrity and aligned. And so I'm here continuing the dream. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, that's a nice summary. That's a super nice summary. But I want to go back a little bit.
Oh, yes.
You went to have a master's degree. What was the master's degree?
In clinical psychology.
Oh, okay. Wow. So you went and then you worked in Hawaii as a clinical psychologist?
Yeah, I was a therapist for kids in foster care and in a group home. And so kids with behavioral problems, sexual behavioral problems. And it was really like, I felt in my purpose, because you're doing such great work and you're really, I was reuniting families that had been separated because of these issues and working with the parents to caretake for their returning teenagers or whatever it was, but it was this working with the family system. And that was really super interesting to me. And seeing and working with people like this, I was also immersed still in poverty consciousness, because it's usually, at least from my experience as a psychotherapist, it was usually people under the poverty line that were experiencing these traumas and being appointed a therapist and going into group homes. And just so I was immersed in this shadow realm of poverty and poverty and problems. And it's not like, it's not like problems don't exist in my business now, but it really took a toll on me being only 25 at the time and just being immersed in shadow all of the time. And we can talk a little bit more about that, but that is why I became a coach to people who are empowered and want my help. And there's that distinction of I was appointed, like I was a therapist appointed to people that didn't want my help. And there's such a difference. Some kids, of course, I charmed the pants off the kids and the families. Like eventually some of them loved me, but it still wasn't their choice. So they were being mirrored the exact thing that was happening to me of like, I didn't have a choice of my times. I didn't have a choice of my clients. I didn't have a choice of, I had choice, but it didn't feel like I did. It felt like somebody was like, this is what you do and this is when you do it when. And even with how I worked with some of the youth, I can tell a quick story is I worked with, one of my first clients was a transgendered youth. Talk about no limits. And this was like 10 years ago when it wasn't as like inside of the media that this is a normal thing that many young people experience, being born in a body that they feel is not their own. And I had no training on this because there wasn't training on this in my psychotherapy education. Maybe touching on different kind of things, but not this in particular. And I remember being the only one around that was like, this is normal. And it didn't matter what my mentors or the other people were giving me. When I sat with that child, I was there for that child. And that child, that teenager rather, transitioned in my care from a male into a female. And it was so lovely to watch. And it was just like, like I know what's right here and I will do the best to serve this human and not the business or the corporation. It was a nonprofit actually, but it still is like, there's all this red tape and bureaucracy and other people's opinions, when I knew in my soul what was right. And what was right was what this youth wanted in front of me. And
wow, so beautiful.
It was lovely.
Yeah, a lot of times it is, just really being present and coming from my heart that you can serve the best, So what I hear you say that's super fascinating is that actually from a very young age you kind of knew what you're doing already, and you went into this serving business, which is beautiful, like serving people, being in psychology, but somehow you got like hit by life and shown that, girl, you don't have to be here. Like, what do you think? You touched a little bit upon it, but what do you think was like not aligned there? like not serving in this way.
Yeah. I remember being in Hawaii and making a song called Pissed Off in Paradise because I couldn't figure it out either. I'm like, I live on the beach. I can run on the beach. There are freaking turtles and dolphins. I have like a boat. Like I was paddling, canoeing like every day really, like, and I'm like, why am I sad? And I felt shame actually for feeling depressed and for feeling sad. And what I knew or know now that I was missing then was a spiritual practice. So I wasn't really raised with any, and I didn't know so many people around with like a deep spiritual practice that we find ourselves immersed in here in San Marcos, but like the one I adopted when I went and got my yoga teacher training. And so when I was practicing yoga in Hawaii to kind of just get a better body, I could just sense that there was something deeper. And then I could sense that whatever I was doing, like going to work, I still had a very like Americanized life, even though I was in Hawaii. And that is one of the problems of Hawaii. But yeah, it was like playing volleyball on the weekends, drinking, getting really drunk, and like finding a military husband. And like that was the path that I could easily see myself on, that I just was like, oh my God, no. And I started to see my friends, because I was already about 29 when I decided, when I got attacked, I was about 29. And I was like, what am I going to do? You know, and I spent a year with just living in Hawaii, depressed with no purpose, no job, you know, and I was like, that's it. I'm gonna travel the world. And so I got a yoga teacher training, which instilled in me this spirit, this idea of spirituality that I'd never heard before. But for me, I have this very kind of Gemini nature where it was like, I know that there's more. And like some people have one path, like you were saying, you're like, yes, I'll always have this path of service, but psychology is one way to serve. It's one lens to view the world. And when I went deep into yoga, studied at the foot of a Vedantic monk, I was like, this is a psychology lens. This is another lens. It's psychology. It's all psychology. It's all yoga. And then I came here, and there's these indigenous practices, and I've been to Peru and sat with plant medicines. And to me, for me at least, and even my yoga teacher would be like, stick with one path. And I remember, for those of you who know Montauk Chia, he's like a Taoist master that brought healing Tao to the US. He actually lived and had his center a 5-minute bicycle ride from where my yoga school was in Thailand. So I remember learning yoga in the morning and Vedanta philosophy in the morning with my monk, and then riding my bike to go practice Qigong and medical Qigong and Taoist sexual practices with Montauk Chia. I mean, I wasn't practicing with sexuality with Montauk Chia, but it was he was there and teaching, and we had I bought my first yoni egg, and it was all very beautiful. And I realized that there's not one path for me, that I actually want to and understand all the paths and then pick and choose what really works for my own life. And this has really served me as a coach and what I do as a coach. Really, really. So I'm seeing the whole picture now, because I help people like Taoist teachers, sacred sexuality coaches, yoga teachers, intuitive healers, path life regression therapists, like real people with real gifts, psychics, channels. Someone was channeling from Sophia Christ consciousness. Like I help the wildest among us to take these gifts and monetize them. And because I traveled the world, just like coming to this corner being like, what is that? What's that? Past life regression? What is that? And theta healing? Okay, what's that? And just learning all these things. Now when somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I do this weird thing, not many people know about it. I'm like, no, I know about it. Know about it. I've experienced it. I love it. Let's go. We can bring this to life. We can get this into the hands of more people. This is amazing.
Wow. Wow, I love it. Like, I love hearing stories that confirm how life supports us. Because when we're on the path, it's sometimes we're lost. We're like, because we can't see the bigger picture. We don't know the future, right? And then I so love it when at some point in the future, you're like, oh, that's why I had to experience all of that. Like, it really comes together as such a beautiful picture.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I just realized it now, so I want to thank you for this podcast. I'm like, whoa, getting a super download. Like, oh my goodness, right? This is the first time I'm telling the story like that. But this is the power of questions. But wow, exactly. Because I'm kind of a little bit ashamed because my teacher would shame me. She'd be like, why are you going to Montauk Chia for those strange sex practices? Because in Hatha yoga is like all about brahmacharya, like return, not sexual at all. I wasn't studying tantra with my Vedantic monks. So like there was still this shame or that voice that we hear when other people project their things onto us and their beliefs. And that's our belief. That's her path. She's a strict yoga teacher and she teaches a certain way. But I did in the back of my mind, like, why can't I choose one path? Why can't I just choose? And now, right here in this moment, it's like I wouldn't be able to be as great as a creative business coach and really hold space for people and be the coach for the wildest among us, because there really isn't any practice that I haven't at least got wind of like, oh yeah, I've heard of that before, maybe not practiced it, but people are like, they feel like people aren't going to get them. And then I show up and I'm like, yeah, totally. Like any gift that we have, whether it's psychic or it's something that we've learned or it's something that we've gained from pain or transformation that we've made from our own mess and our own life situations, can be there. You can create a process for how you went about doing that. And then that's your signature process because it's based on your life. So this is exactly what I help people to do, is take down all of their creative ideas. People are like, I'm not a cacao ceremonialist. I want to make a course on cacao. And I heard you have to just one thing. But what I help people to do is like, create their own methodology to help solve one or two problems for people. Because that's how people like come into our programs anyway. It isn't like, oh, I want to drink cacao. It's like, what are the benefits on the other side of 4 months of, drinking cacao and communing with that plant and being with somebody that's able to guide you through that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, so interesting. I so love your story. Thank you for sharing. But I can resonate with it so much because, I'm also doing a lot of practices, a lot of schools, and sometimes I can feel that they're like opposing each other. And like I felt torn. And like, because some practitioners, like you're saying, like, oh my God, you shouldn't go to the sex thing or tantric thing. I can so relate because some practices, they're so strict. It's like, if you choose this path, you should stick to this path. But that's not me. Like, that's not my personality. Like, I feel that the way I'm helping people is also through like many practices that I have learned. And I'm not going to be like one concrete, but I think world needs also the very strict specialists. Like they have their own place in this world for sure. But there's just different types of people, we have to stick true to what feels right to us.
Definitely.
Yeah.
100%. And I actually help my clients to specialize, but there's that distinction between when you create your own methodology, then you specialize in your own methodology, in your own work in the world. And you're like, I'm the creator. I mean, in particular, I'm the creator of the Create method, where I take people through a process where they have so many ideas and so many gifts and so many talents. And at the end, they have an offer that's packaged up so beautifully that their dream clients, people that are in their audience, people that are around them, they want in because they know that what they're getting inside this program is going to change their life in the exact way that they want it to be changed. Yeah, it's really cool the way we do, the method that I take people through that I created on my own because I was a creative. It's really lovely. Yeah, so you specialize in that. And then you become the founder and you become the creator of XYZ. And people who are like, oh yeah, I have so many ideas. And I know that there's a purpose out there for me. And it's like, well, you don't have to travel to 33 countries trying to find it like I did. It's like, the purpose is not outside, it's right in here. And I help extract how to speak about it so you can live it. So you can call people into your world, into your calls, into your programs, into your retreats. Even if you want to write a book, like calling people in to that world and taking them through that process so that they can be changed. It's all about transformation.
Yeah. Wow, super beautiful. But I want to know, how did you get here? Like, how did you, because like you're working as a business coach, but essentially what I hear is that you help people find their purpose. But what I hear also is that you can also help them very much in very like structure their like course. Is this your main focus, like helping people create their course and find their like voice or the purpose?
Yeah. So the people that I'm helping nowadays, they kind of have purpose. They have a sense of direction. They're a lot like you, where they have a beautiful like setup, and they're doing so much. And it's like, when you move, there is a direction, and it's not like you have problem with schedule. And I have worked with people who are like flowing, la, 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 and it's fine. And when they come to me, it's usually at a point where they've decided, hey, this flowing is not really working for me, because I do specialize in weaving and in this yoga world too, of like the hatha, like the feminine and the masculine energy, where I'm open to receive. I am very feminine. I'm female embodied, and I have a schedule. I don't always stick to it because I am feminine, and like I stick to it 80% of the time because that's how you run a business. So yeah, the main outcome when they come into my program, the Conscious Creative Business Immersion, is they have an offer and a signature methodology, and they have a launch plan. So I really help people to market and promote it, because for me, it's not enough just to know that we're good at something, because most of us know that. The people that I work with know that they're good at something, but they haven't been able to fully live that, because they got to work side jobs. They got to have a side hustle. They have to work just like I was working for these bosses that didn't appreciate me just to live, when I could help them. I do help them to fully immerse themselves in their purpose and create something that can be really monetized and highly valued, and market that and sell that. Because that was the missing link. When I first I didn't call myself a business coach. 3 years ago, I was a creative counselor. I was helping people live a creative life. I was helping people share their voice, and I was helping people with creative writing. Because when I went to sell my things, it was always the way I had shown up online, that people that had met me in far off corners of the world, they stayed in touch. They read my content, they read my blog. And so as soon as I was saying, hey, I have this thing, people bought it. And when I reverse engineered what I did, it was the activating of my voice, getting clear on my message, getting clear on my values, but also expressing that no matter what other people thought. So always, like, as I was traveling, I was writing, I was sharing, I was making videos, and it didn't even have to have the clarity that I have now and that I help my clients create. It was that energy and that expression that was so magnetic and attractive, to the point when I was like, okay, I'm selling my first course. People had been waiting. So that's when I usually catch people, is like, it's like, as soon as they get into my program, they hit the ground running, because they know it's time, and they just need those subtle tweaks to the message to clarify it. And a lot of the spiritual people were like, oh yeah, we're talking about astral travel, or like whatever it is that they do. Like, I work with a past life regression therapist, I work with crystal healers, whatever it is that they do. It's like, it sounds kind of fluffy when we kind of talk about it in the way that we think is helpful. But the way that is actually helpful is to hear that person's problems. When I would really hear my people's problems of, hey, I have all this purpose, I have all these ideas, I have notebooks full of ideas, I would actually really listen to people. And from those skills of psychotherapy, really, really listen and create the exact thing that they needed to get what they wanted. And they didn't want to just feel purposeful. They wanted to be living the purpose. They wanted to be helping other people with the gifts that they had. And I was like, whoa, I actually have been doing this the whole time, just wasn't making a lot of money doing it. Like teaching yoga and designing yoga classes and designing yoga retreats. I had yoga retreats all over the world. They just weren't making any money, for different reasons. And so now everything I put out makes beautiful, bold money, but that was the process. And I promised when I learned how to really make it work that I was going to deliver it to the people, because I don't want to hoard it all to myself. And living with financial freedom, I will be a millionaire someday. It's not about the accumulation of cash. It's about the way that we spend it in the world and the way that we share it and what we're able to do because we have it. And we can redistribute wealth from folks who really aren't doing the best things with it, or folks maybe they just don't know, they haven't been to places like this, and they have all this beautiful money and they want to give it, and they don't have that person. We become that person to say, here's what we really need in the world. We need more spirit. We need more transformation, even art. I help a lot of artists help other people to paint or connect to their womb space so that they, don't feel pain in their womb. Yes. And so that they can live their artistry. They can come to the paintbrush and feel in their body and ready to produce a piece of art. Whereas maybe in their moon time, they would, just be doubled over in pain. Like, it's really powerful work that my clients do. And when we talk about it in the ways that make sense for their potential clients, then more people are actually helped. And that's why I do this work.
I love it because I feel that there's this misconception, or I don't know, misconception, I think it's the right word, that in a way we're thinking today mostly about artists, it means like no money, like more, and also spiritual world. It kind of like, I don't know, it's like in our DNAs or something. Like, okay, if I'm an artist, like it means no money. Like I can't be rich by being an artist or like serving people in a spiritual practices. There's so much like misbeliefs around that, or what's your experience around it? Because you've been working in this field for some time.
Yeah, definitely. And I would consider myself an artist first and foremost, really. I've been singing since I was little, but I started writing songs in my early 20s. And as I was getting my master's degree and then serving as a psychotherapist, I had been writing songs the whole time. And so when I quit my job and left my job as a psychotherapist, I was like, I am going to travel the world with my ukulele and a backpack and no money. And I really did it. I really did it, but I really did it with no money. Like it was this idea of the broke artist. And I was really living it because I feel like there's this archetype. And when we decide and we claim our artistry and we say, I'm going to be an artist, that's it, then comes with it, oh, well, then I must need to live with no money. And now I see it. I see it in the mindset of some of the people I work with. And now I work with people that want to move past that. But recently, because of this, I 100% channeled a course on healing our relationship with money. And I took the skills I had in psychotherapy and subconscious reprogramming and yoga, and I helped people to rewire their nervous system and their subconscious mind to be open energetically for wealth and to start a business. Because there is so many misconceptions around money, which we can go deeper into, but especially in the spiritual world. And it's just this belief that runs through the collective. But what was very helpful for me early on in my third year learning yoga, and deeply, like I wanted to learn everything, but I did sit with yoga for many years and sit in an ashram and learn really what it was. It wasn't like I was tinkering with a bunch of things. I was going deep into yoga and Vedantic philosophy. But I sat with this monk and he just plain out said, I think it was the golden nugget for 3 years that I took with me. Spirituality does not mean destitution. It doesn't. And in India,
sorry, what does it mean?
doesn't mean destitution. And destitution means like just poorly. Like it doesn't mean poverty. It really doesn't. Spirituality doesn't mean poverty. It's actually spirituality is prosperity. It's abundance. It's like angels. It's divine. And what I know from them, from my teachers, is that all of life is spiritual. It's not just when you go on a spiritual path or realize that you're on a spiritual path. It's actually even those who would not say that they're spiritual, they're still living a spiritual experience because everything about this human experience is actually spiritual. So if we awaken and come out of that kind of game of poverty consciousness that we're playing, that's just a thought that runs through the collective. It's not true or real. And what I received about money was actually with even our history books and the way that we perceive the history of money was wrong. And I, without research, just received what is the history of money, and I wrote about it and I deliver it in my Deep Money program. But it is not what we think it is. And money is not here. Like when we experience trauma around money, then we can start to blame money for the thing, for the trauma. And that happens with everything. Like, you know, and I'll just give an example. Like I have things around men because I've experienced trauma with things around men, but it's really to free myself and to call in the quality of man that I want. I can't walk around projecting my trauma onto all men. Just like we cannot go, hey, money, you're the reason that, you know, my parents fought when I grew up. And money, like money when it speaks through me is just, it's a bit like, hey, can you tell everybody that I'm cool? Like I'm just here to support your visions. I want to go to good-hearted people, because money actually, the way that this consciousness works, get all deep, but the way that this consciousness works is it's neutral, and it doesn't actually care. It doesn't say, oh, this is bad, this is good, let me go with things are good. It likes clarity. And it just so happens that like if people are intentionally evil, they're being clear. They're like, I'm going to use this money to buy a shit ton of guns. And like they know what they want. And so then the money goes there because they're just like, this is what I want. And manifestation really isn't, it's neutral. And we get what we are being rather than what we want. So money loves clarity. Money doesn't necessarily love, but it will go when we're clear. So I became clear. I want a certain amount a month to live. I want to overflow. And yes, I had to know in my own subconscious mind and my conscious mind what I wanted to spend it on makes it easier. Like, oh, I want, you know, $10,000 this month because I want to take 15% of it and donate it here. And then I want, and to actually allocate it in my mind and in my bank accounts. When I started working in this way with money, which, you know, growing up poor, nobody ever taught me how to use money. I had all these traumas around money. So I had to clear that first and then start to walk in a more wealthy way, teach myself, because I still, you know, there's so much to learn about finances, but what I work with is the energetics of money, at least first, so that it can start to flow to me, so that I even have money to actually work with. Like, oh, okay, you can start investing here. Maybe you can buy crypto. Like, you know, that's the next move for me, and hiring kind of people in that world that are wealth financial advisors in that way, because I'm a business coach that, thank God for spreadsheets, because I don't count that great. I'm like a poet that turned into a business coach, because it is actually our message that makes us money. So when we can clearly articulate the problem that we see in the world and that our people come to us with, and help them transform into where they want to be, and we're able to talk about that clearly, that's clarity. Money loves that. Clients love that. And it's all this, like, and that's all spiritual. It's all on the spiritual level, on the energetics of things. And then we get down to like the reality of, oh, cool. Wow. Look, I really do have I really do make 10K months. It worked. And then you're like, whoa, it worked.
Okay, but let's go back. Like, let's take step by step. So first of all, there's blockages, right? Like, I feel that so many people have stories around money, like we discussed, that first of all, that the spiritual community, there's like, what are some of the main things? Like, I know that what I have heard is like they're thinking that money is evil. Like, first thing is like, no, people with money are just like they're evil. They're like using it to manipulate people is like one of the main things.
Yeah.
Do you have any other examples?
Because that one's really obvious. Money is evil. It's just like, because money speaks through me, it's like, oh God, I don't even love that phrase anymore, even though people can have it. But there's a level of people that I work with and they have to be past that, because I can't help somebody who wants to make money, but consciously thinks it's evil. If we can work and I can help to uplift and show that is a belief that people are believing, that's repelling money. But the people that I work with have to want to make money. And so that kind of thought pattern, it's like, it doesn't make any sense to me, because people are who they are. What they do with the money has nothing to do with money. It has to do with who they are. If people do evil things with money, it's because they evil people. If people do asshole things with money, it's because they're asshole people. It's like, but there's another one. Like, maybe I can think of what you have a question.
Yeah. I just want to comment on that because that's what you said earlier as well. That was beautiful. I think because it's so not part of your reality anymore, you know? You created such another relationship with money that for you it's kind of alien. Like, I know, I see this happening with people in their fields. Like, it's so alien to you. Like, oh my God, I can't even remember what it feels like. But I mean, like, there are, because I feel that there's not even only in spiritual communities, this money problem is universal. Like, so many people address, that's what I want to say, that it doesn't matter what it is. You gave an example with men. It's the problem is if we attach the problems to external things. And money is something that is so easy to attach all the world problems to, because it's not physical, it's not harming any kind of relationships. You're kind of putting the blame on the money. Yeah. When the blame is not there at all, right?
Right, exactly. Right. And I wanted to say that I do remember, actually, because it's not like it was so far away. And it's work that I have to do quarterly that I definitely do yearly, because the blocks that come up at 50K, when I, my first year in business, I was like, I did it, 50K. I replaced my income as a psychotherapist. So I was like, wow, this can really happen my first year in business. The next year I doubled it. And I had to do this deep money work of unraveling what my subconscious beliefs were. And we do this through a task of subconscious writing of like what we think our beliefs are, like what comes through when we're not really thinking, and just write it. Because I can see in people's fields, like they're like, oh, I'm fine with money. I live freely. Like, my grandpa sends me money, or like whatever it is, and they feel abundant. I'll hear a statement and I see the lack in the statement. And it's not like lack mentality only goes for money. It is like, I see where my lack mentality it translates into other parts of my life, into my relationships, into different things. And so this is a mindset, and it's mindset work that I work on all the time. That I notice that thought within myself of lack, but I'm very sensitive to it in others. So if somebody comes to me and they're like, well, yeah, like I have had lack mentality, I see that I want to expand my money consciousness, that there's that desire, and then I can help them. But those folks who, if you are saying out loud, money is evil and I don't want it, I have a lot of resistance to that. And I can say why, but I traveled with no money, and I traveled with these people that really shifted my consciousness, and it wasn't all for the better. It was artists and it was rainbow people. Thank you for all the songs. And there was a lot of thoughts and beliefs that were just shared as truth that in my naivety, I took on. So after I stopped and said, wait a minute, I want money. I want to be abundant. I want to be able to do whatever I want, afford whatever I want. I had to like get rid of beliefs that I had gained over a few years. It wasn't even the beliefs I had from my family. It was like over time and being around people who were like, money is the root of all evil. Like, so this phrase in particular, it got me, because it's just not truth in my world, but I do remember being around that. So it's more, the people that I work with are more of like, hey, like I'm making 2K months and I would love to be making 10K months. And I feel like, you know, I'm doing all the things, like I have an offer or I'm, you know, I have a certain rate and they tell me their price and I'm like, you could be charging so much more. And then you see how, what they believe about money, and then they start to unveil it of like what people will think about them, what their family will think about them. The other one is like, so say like in my case, I did grow up poor and there was this like need to just keep myself at a certain level so that I didn't outshine my people. And I didn't become, you know, being in a working class family as like an identity. Yeah. And then, you know, now I'm like, oh, this posh chick, and it's, but I still work with this. So I just wanted to say for anybody out there that maybe they are wealthy or they grew up with wealth. I've also worked with people that grew up with wealth, but that came with its own challenges and trauma, because then they didn't know how to make money on their own, or like they didn't want to rely on certain people. So money blocks come no matter how you grew up. But yeah, we get to identify what they are and rewrite our own money stories from first identifying, like, what is our money story? What is the current relationship that we have with money? And it doesn't even have to be that bad. Like my current relationship with money is like, I make 10K months and it's like I'm on the edge of hiring new people and the blocks come back around where I have to go, okay, like, let me just do it myself, which is this working class mentality. Let me just do it myself and then I can save some money. And then I hear myself thinking that and it's like, no, that's not what's going to get me to the next level. So that's why I love my program, because I do feel like I'm the most qualified to teach this, not because I'm free of it, but because I actively and consciously work with these thoughts and these money blocks every day, to each time I've up leveled to go from 50,000 a year to 100,000 a year. And then I will double it, triple it.
I think it's so important what you just brought up, because that's the journey. Like we never reach it. Like there's no end goal. There's no ceiling. Like it never comes. It actually never comes. Even when we think about the people who are the richest in the world, even they have to finding ways how to invest the money, what to do with the money. There's like whole another problems, another, I don't want to say problems, but solutions you need to find.
I like that.
Like what to do with the money, you know? And okay, so but to make it like more structured, step-by-step thing, like first of all, I don't know, I want to stay in this topic because I believe that this is something that could really talk to a lot of people. Because, you know, I feel even this topic, just saying the word money is very delicate.
Yeah.
There's so many people, it's like, no, let's not talk about money. It's like, no, we don't talk about incomes. No, like, it's so like suppressed. It's a little bit like tantra. It's a little bit like sexuality to me. I feel like money and sex are like two topics that are like, you know, like everybody is a bit like, ooh, like, I don't know if you should go there, you know, like, why do you think that is?
Yeah, that's interesting. Money, sex, like these things are repressed in our society. And I wonder, like when I received what the real history of money was, money has always been here to support our dreams, and money has come to bring different communities together, because before there was paper money and coins, there was trading of different things. So someone here on the Mayan lands would have cacao, which is rare in another part of the world. So then the leaders would travel to trade cacao with something that this land doesn't produce. And then we see it as, we see colonialism and we see all these things and we see all the negative, and the mind goes to the negative. And the negative sticks with us. I mean, I have memories that are negative that from childhood that I can still vision and see. But, then it's like, well, we'll gain the positive ones. Let's bring the positive ones in. And that's a healing practice of like, but what about all the positive ones? What about all those memories? And so what about how money and how trading brought different communities together, which had like mixing of genetics, I think, which this is just something, I don't know if it's proven. This is just my own spiritual opinion, because I'm a mixed race queen. Is like, there's something about bringing the different genetics, different lands, different ideas, different concepts. When concepts arrive here, like a concept in a scientific discovery will sprout up in another part of the world, and that's all spirituality. But there is something really tangible about Earth, about this world. We have skin, we have bones, we can touch things, and quantum physics will say, everything is much more malleable than we know, and it's all made of sound, and all that's really beautiful. And there's obviously beauty to this physical world, the mountains, the clouds, the lake, and being able to put the water to our face. And so what do I think? Why do I think that, what was the question?
Like that we have a lot of people have this money subject is very suppressed. Like we're shy to talk about it. We're shy to talk about our incomes. We're shy, like,
I think people don't really realize the actual truth of it. We think we remember the traumas. We store the traumas in our body. We remember the negative things that have happened, and there's so much energy around sex. So we know that there's so much energy around sex because we're like, it creates a human. Like that must have a lot of energetics involved. And then we go through the biology of it all. But there's not a lot of biology in money, like we print the paper, like what is the biology in money?
It's the same though.
Exactly.
There's so much energy.
Exactly. It's a concentrated energy. And there a lot of negative things have happened that we project the negativity onto the money. So we give things as humans, energy. So with sex, this is the energy that creates more humans, but humans give the energy to whatever we as a collective want to give the energy to. We collectively decided at one point that cacao was valuable, that gold was valuable, that this was valuable, that was valuable, but it is the human mind and the decision that decides that it's valuable. And then when more humans come together and decide what's valuable, well, that's a community, that's a concept, that's an idea, but it's all made of energy. So then it gives that energy. So we give money energy. And I love that. I do have a brother that's like really trying to create communities where money doesn't exist. If you are one of those people that's out there making a new reality, then all for it. But if you are not doing that, then I don't want to hear your complaints about money, because either do something about it or get out of my face. Because what my role is in this life is to flow and to help people flow. And we have money, it's here. It's not trying to be bad to us. We give it the meaning. We give life the meaning all of the time. So we give each individually and collectively. So even if there is a collective idea around money, the individual can break free from it.
Yeah. Totally.
So that's the work that we're doing.
Yeah. That's what you are doing, but you are also doing groups now. But okay, moving on from that, one thing is associating money with negativity, suppressing. But let's say that we can, I think the first thing is to realize what are the beliefs around money, right? And then really understand that we want to break out of it, right?
Yeah.
And those are the clients that you are helping, actually.
Yeah.
That they are on this path. I don't think even clients would come to you to talk oh, I hate money, I don't want money.
Yeah.
You wouldn't probably come to business coaching in this case.
Yes. And Exactly. And so I have 2 different programs, but the deep money program really was this channeled gift. And honestly, not many people have bought it. It was a gift for me, but I filmed the whole thing. So I might as well get it into the hands of other people. But what I realized was it was a gift for me and to be able to talk about money in this collective way. It's a gift for me to be able to open my channel and receive downloads specifically around money. And then my business coaching is really about the message and the money, because the message is the money maker. The message that we share, this message that I'm sharing now, that's an embodied message of where I've been with money to now just thank you money, and like still having little kinks and blocks, but like being aware of them and being, yes, thank you for coming into my life. And I just bought a beautiful bag that was over $100 and I've never done something like that before. And that's a little kind of thing too, is like people, spiritual people that I work with are like, oh yeah, I got all this money and I donated it all right away. Or like, I got all this money, but then they feel bad spending it on themselves, and they made all this money to support their family. And it's, yeah, but what about you? You know, and what about something frivolous? What about that? And so I like it, but the first step for me was working on my money consciousness. So that's why I have my program, Deep Money, for anyone that's still, you know, not starting their business and doesn't know why, or like has started, but it doesn't matter how much they do in their business. They're not making the money, because then they get on the sales call and they're like, oh no, you just can have it for free. And they like discount their offers before they even, because what we have will project on our people. So it's like, I had to really be a clean and clear channel, because I could see myself being like, oh my God, they must be poor. Everyone's poor. They must be poor. Let's discount it. I'll just discount it for them. And it's like, that still will happen. It's like, no, my offerings are so valuable. When I raise my prices, it's a gift for my people. But it's just something that I get to work with. So I don't help people who are broke become unbroke, but I can help you make more money. But it's then when we really want to get down to the how-to of business, which is what I'm really specializing in, because the energetics will get you only so far. Once you feel good, ready, okay, I want to make content. I got a message to share. I'm confident. I know that, you know, I have purpose. It's like, that kind of matters to getting started and feeling good and building momentum. But then like actually sitting down, what am I doing today? And I only teach a few money making activities in my content and in my program, which I could go through some of them for you if you'd like. But beyond that, it's like everything else is an extra. Everything else is like fun and fancy. And fun and fancy is fun, but like, what's the point of having a business if it doesn't actually bring you beautiful clients, like clients that are really fun to work with too? Yeah.
Can we go through them then?
I would love to. Yeah.
Yes.
So I teach my clients and my audience 3 money-making activities. And I say to them, like, if they're trying to do something beyond this, that at least they understand and know that this is not the thing that makes money in business. But go ahead and play. So, because people will come to me and be like, I want a big, beautiful website and I want to spend 10K on this website. And I know that it's a mistake to start with that, because I had a website and a logo for years and it didn't make me any money. So the website doesn't make money. The logo doesn't make money. You actually have to bring people to these places. You have to show up wherever you show up. Could be online, could be on your platform of choice, could be just in networking events in the land. We met randomly at dinner and found out you had a podcast. We're like, oh, cool, fun connections. And now my voice is being amplified through all this technology. So people will also be like, oh, well, what ring light do I buy? What camera do I buy? And it's like, I made $100,000 with a janky, like the oldest Mac computer in the whole wide world. Like I had a microphone that I didn't use. I used my earplugs with the microphone, $100,000, because it is about helping people. So that's the third money making. I'll start backwards. We'll do go to third is delivery. It's delivery. It's the actual service. So I deliver like my program costs $100,000, even though it's right now $6,000 with the concept of it being $10,000. That's a 3-month program that is very beautifully designed and helps them to have a business, launch their offer. And it's really worth, for me, in my heart, it's worth $100,000. So when I go, hey, it's 6K, they feel like it's a deal, because to me it's a deal, in my mind it's a deal, and I'm very, very happy to show up as powerfully as I do for them, to pour my psychotherapy skills into them, to help them with their mindset, help them think like a business owner. So delivery, right? So whatever you create, whether it's a Reiki session, whether it's a theta healing session, whether it's a series of healing sessions, a coaching package, really focus on the delivery, not perfection of it, not trying to be the best. Yeah, be the best, but like not at like people try to perfect it. And it's like, they end up creating a codependency in these kind of relationships that doesn't actually get results for people. So that's a part of it too, like being a clear channel where people are not dependent on me to get the results, but I am holding the space with such love and care that that's how they get results. They're not dependent on me, but I will teach them and show them the way and share with them my knowledge. So delivery. And then there is the messaging. And so however you share your message, deepening it, making sure that it's clear, but also actually sharing it. So every day I show up on Instagram and inside my group and I share my message. And even before, when it wasn't clear, when it was like, hey, I'll teach you to be confident. That's pretty clear. But like what really sells at 6K, 10K, 100K level is the transformation. So the message speaks to the transformation, and I go out there and I share it every day, no matter what people think. I have been trolled. I have people from the spiritual community have come down on me, and I just share it no matter what. And I receive support from my mentors around the emotions that come up around that. And then there is following up, which is part of the sales process. So in my message, I invite people to a call with me, or I'll invite people to that next step with me, whether it's joining my group. I really want to add value in my message. So it's value-based marketing. It's magnetic marketing, because I am showing up and I'm adding value. They can choose to work with me or not. I'm still changing the paradigm of the world because I'm sharing my voice. It's like people in your audience are going to get so much from this talk. And that's fine. If they want to buy from me, they can. And I'm unattached. And if they don't, and they're very happy with what they received, that's also very beautiful. And it's really about serving and helping. And this is how more people are attracted as well. But that follow-up process. So when people are interested, when I have started to build that connection, I don't just leave them out in the ether to choose someone else. I say, hey, what's up? How are you with, you got on a call with me. I know it's been a month since we last spoke. You said you wanted to think about it. Here I am. How are you? What thoughts have come up for you since then? And people get so scared when I say that. I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to try to convince anyone. And I'm like, you cannot convince anyone of anything. They got on the phone with you. They're in your group. They were watching your podcast for a reason. And they are interested in what it is that you have that can help them have what they want. And it's all very beautiful. It's all based in service. And those are the 3 money-making activities. So I can say them again: following up with your peeps, making really great content. People will be like, I'm shadow banned. And I'm like, yeah, shadow banned. Everybody is down on engagement. Engagement doesn't matter. Likes and follows do not matter. People that I've never seen like anything I've ever put out messaged me like the other day and was like, huge fan. And I'm like, fan? Like, I love it. Was actually your roommate one time at a party was like, oh, I love what you write. And I'm like, why didn't you press love on the internet? You press the love button. But like, our people that are ready to buy, they're not liking things. Think about like when you want a blender. You don't go to the Instagram and start liking blenders on Instagram. You go to the store and you buy a blender.
I think there's so many good wise words you're saying right now here. But what was the third one? Delivery.
Delivery. Yes.
Delivery. Yes.
Delivery.
Yes. I just want to emphasize, like, I don't know, I'm so grateful you shared those free activities. They're awesome. Thank you for sharing. I love the idea. That's why I love your soul. That's why I wanted to do the podcast with you, because I'm so much about like adding value to people. And I love that you share this, because you know there's some people who are like holding it on, like you're like, no, I can't share, like I don't know, you buy my program or you come and only then I share some information. Like sharing is so important. I so believe in energy, in momentum, like, you know, giving people some valuable information. And like I love how you put it, like I can feel it in your energy. You're really here, like serving, giving people information. And non-attachment was also something that really stuck up to me. You know, there's like this non-attachment, like you're gonna come to me anyways. Like if you feel the pull, if you have to be here, you're gonna come. Like, you know, like, okay, what I can do, clearly I can do a lot of steps, and like that's the course for, and that, like the business course, at least when you are there already, like how to master your message, how to do the action steps. But like I feel also that if it's already out there, if you're doing your part, the right people, they will come. Like it doesn't matter, like the more you share and freely and in a non-attached way, the more flow there is, like more the energy exchange there is.
I love it.
So beautiful.
I love it. I love helping to get people to a certain spot where they're ready to work with me as well. You know, I know that, you know, spending $6,000 is not just like the easiest thing for people, because I have worked with money mindset things. But for some people, it's like, it's so easy, but also even if it's not easy, on these calls and the follow-up process helps them to feel safe, because that's what you're going to get in my program, the sense of intimacy, the sense of being held in a space with somebody with skills in psychotherapy who's traveled the world, who knows all these creative things. And so I really just have confidence. And if somebody says, no, I also, I don't make it about me, which is, it's not that easy for some people, and it's not easy in other realms of my life. So I know what it's like when you come to a sales call and you want the person to have what you offer and they say no at the end. And then you don't know what to do with that. But that is something that we work on in the business immersion, is how to handle objections in a heart-centered way that holds the space for that person's fear. Because that's what the objections are usually fear. They're usually not getting on the phone with me if they don't have money or resources to get it. Because especially in my program, I'm helping people have a 10K launch or more. Like all of my launches, since I decided I'm doing this, once I had a 10K launch, it has never dipped below that. Every time I offer my offers, it goes 10K, or, you know, my highest offer was, my highest launch was $44,000. And I'm just like, wow, now it's a new normal. And I just like, pat myself on the back like I was this poor girl diving in dumpsters, like, okay, celebrating that. And kind of like, well, this is the new normal. And, you know, I will have $100,000 launch, and you'll see me dancing around on the internet like I did it, because it means so much more than, you know, a boatload of money sailing towards me. It's like what I get to do with that money, how I get to reinvest that back into my business, which my business helps so many people, and how I get to buy things that I want to. Also.
Well, I love it. Can we talk a little bit now about the positive sides of the money? I would really love to put it in here. Maybe we can already start installing these good ideas into people's systems.
And I just thought, imagine if I had a place where I could gather people, where people could come and I could have a VIP day with beautiful people that sit by the pool and have drinks and have somebody make us food and even get this person a massage. And I was thinking that, and then I was living in a studio. Even a few months ago, I was still living in a studio. It was the most beautiful studio I've lived in a very long time, with a view that's unbeatable, the best in the world. But I could still see how I was boxing myself in. And so, but when I decided that, when I saw the bigger vision of, okay, I actually want a bigger, more beautiful house, and all the little thoughts of like, oh, your material possessions and, you're materialist again and you're spiritual now, like, and these thoughts that are not mine, they're ancestral, they're societal, they're not mine, I wasn't going to listen to anymore. And so when I decided, beyond those thoughts, they still came, I'm going to do this because it'd be so much fun to have people come to my poolside villa and be able to share in my space and in my love. And then I started making more money before I got the pool house. Then I got the pool house and I contracted a little bit. Like, what are they going to think? This is the most bougiest place I've ever lived in. What are they going to think? And then I just kept thinking about the positives of all the people and all the connections I was going to be able to make because I had more space and all the much more content I was going to be able to make because there was much more air flowing into my house. So that's one thing. But my biggest thing is, as my mother gets older, I want to be able to buy her a house. So we didn't have any property, anything like that growing up. Like, I bought my first car on my own working at McDonald's for 2 years, starting at the youngest you could work. And so that's real working class, runs through my veins. But like, really being like, well, okay, I'm not becoming a millionaire for myself. Like, I will buy things for myself. And that's great. And, if I could get my mom her first, just a quaint house, a beautiful house that she can live in and all she did for us, like, wow. And if it takes a few first class tickets, it's like, I'm all about making more money rather than saving for these things, rather than restricting ourselves for these things, because then you live in abundance. So that's the good of it. Like, when you feel abundant, when you have financial freedom and you go beyond surviving, which I hope nobody watching this is in that mode, but there is a point where, like, money doesn't buy you happiness, but you can certainly spread it all around. It does, and it does scientifically buy happiness at a certain level, because I was not happy when I had to work for someone else and didn't have control over my day-to-day and my freedom and my creativity and my expression. It was so creatively diminishing. So those are the good things about money, is like, I wake up when I want, I work with who I want to, I have lovely conversations with people from around the world, like you, my clients. Oh my goodness, they are like so cool. I'm so honored that I get to like work with these. I'm working with a Mayan timekeeper. She printed out the contract for my mentorship coaching. She put it on her vision board. She signed it by hand. And it was like her dedication to herself and her future clients and the work that she gets to do in this world. And she's creating a program on awakening the Jaguar woman within, based on the Mayan Nawal of the Jaguar. And it's so soul connected, because what she says is that her Mayan sign and my Mayan sign are meant to work together. And so all the different seen and unseen things that come into place when we share our message and we have courage and we start to want a better life for ourselves, it's like everything starts to align. And just to see how satisfied and happy she is after these calls of like, and thank you. And I'm actually going to join her program because it's so well put together. I'm helping her put it together, but I can't really help somebody be who they truly are. Like, I help them to own who they truly are. But like, it's all her, I don't take credit for that.
What came through right now is more about like, there's this negative beliefs about money and what holds us back around money and the suppression by the society. I feel this has a lot to do with victimhood. Like, I feel how we're blaming other people or outside circumstances, this is first thing, it's mindset we need to work on. Another thing is there's confidence issue. Like, I feel like, oh my God, I'm not worth it. How can I judge that? Like, no, that's not like, how can I? So it's also like, working with your inner beliefs, or like that you are worthy. But I think what I hear, what comes out from your talk is also beautifully, is that there's so much purpose. There's like purpose. There's always this underneath purpose. Like, I see how you're talking about your clients, you're helping them create something valuable in this world. And then money just means to get back for your service and to create more, so we keep things in a flow.
Yeah.
Like I hear you, because I see myself like really getting into the money talk, and because I see there's so much blockage there. But like it kind of comes through that there's always something else underneath. But probably there's this maybe even bigger thing is like teaching people the value, or like that it's okay to ask for money.
Oh yeah.
Like it's okay to ask money for my service. It's okay to ask for a refund. Like it has to flow in a way, right?
Oh, totally. And sometimes I feel like I don't want to disappoint anyone, but what I want to say and what I want to transmit right now is that it's not like these feelings go away. Like one story is I recently paid for a service that wasn't given to me. So I didn't receive the service. Now as a business coach, it's like, that's not going to happen. Like, I still have this kind of hood mentality of like, I'm going to get what I paid for. So I still have that, but using those kind of coping mechanisms, not everything is bad. Like that actually has served me in my life. And that's not a limitation of like, I'm getting my money's worth because if I spent 10K on this offering that this is two different offerings we're talking about, but the 10K offering, I show up to every call. I would take my notes because, it's like 10K actually is a lot of money for me to spend. And I can't wait for the day where someday it's not. It's just like give 10K to a nonprofit, beautiful. And it's like, I'm getting my money's worth. But there was a service that I paid for in my music world, and I didn't actually receive it. And then I went to this person and I was like, I need my money back, and they had spent it because they were a broke artist. And so I was like, what? And I will tell you that this person decided to pay me back in monthly installments. But I have this sense of feeling bad every time they pay me back my own dang money.
Yeah.
So it's like working with this money consciousness. It's about that awareness and actually sitting with the feelings that come up. So on a sales call, sitting with the feelings that come up when you say, my price is $6,000. Would you like to pay with cash or credit? Well, I don't take cash online, but with Visa, Amex, with PayPal, what you got, and when you see that, hear that fear or feel that fear of like, oh, they don't have it. That's it. That's the last of their money. It's like, no, it's not. And let the people invest in what they want to invest in, because I know that each investment I've made in myself, starting from those low cost courses all the way to my $20,000 to work with my one mentor for a year, then recently $10,000 to work with my mentor now for 3 months. Like it activated something in me. And especially because that person was clean and clear. They have worked their money, the blocks, they were offering this as an offering. And my investment allows them to show up in the way that I need them for me to transform. But it's also about me. And so when my people invest, if I get the sense that I have qualifying questions now, because if someone's in financial distress, I'm not your girl, because it's not a creative space to create something from. And if you're in financial distress, then that's a problem that needs to be handled first. When I first started my course to put it out, I went back to waitressing, and I waitressed, and then on my off hours, I put out my course. So really, I don't work with people in financial distress, because then they project that into the space, and they're much more clingy and they're much more codependent on me getting them results. And so once I decided to actually go high end, my thoughts became more high end, and people stopped trying to discount my already low offer. When I decided to charge 2K and then 6K and then 8K, and now I have an 11K offer. Which when I look around at what I do and the other people doing what I do, it's like I can keep having higher end offers. It's all okay. And I just sell from a clean and clear space of, if they want it, they make it happen, just like me. I did. Poor brown girl from the hood made it happen. And why would I take that experience away from them? Because it was the biggest experience of my life to go, this is all my savings. because I'm all in. I'm here for it. I came here for this. Because those kind of people, they get better results. So that's who I work with now. Someone who is resourceful. You know, I work with people like women who it's their husbands that pay. I don't mind how they get the money.
Yeah.
It's for them, you know. If their husbands are really beautiful people, want to support them in their dreams, why would I say anything about that?
Yeah, I think it's a lot about decision. So, okay, let's try to wrap it up. So if people really want to start making money, they are maybe struggling, they don't know where to start. I feel they need to have a purpose. Like, that's what I wanted to touch on, because you said so beautifully that one of your goals is to have a house for your mom. I think there's two types of people in this world. First of all, we need to like know what we want for ourselves, but for other people, the motivation are other people, like so much more than they are for themselves. So I think it's so important to know your purpose, know why, like what's your why you want the money. And then like I believe also that the world is abundant, like you said. Money is accessible to all of us if we are in the right energy field. Okay, so we need to know the why. What are some other whys? Like I know we kind of cut there. Like what are the other positive things that we can? There's freedom. There is I can do what I want with my life. Another thing, like I feel like even working 9 to 5, because some people prefer safety. Like it's okay. But that's positive. Like this gives you this. Money gives you that. Like you know that every month you have this certain income, and that gives you safety, and that's what you value.
Yeah.
So that's what you're going for, probably.
Yeah. What I really love about the work that we get to do in our lives, whether we start off as a side hustle or we go all in right away, it doesn't matter. Like I kept my waitressing job, and that was great. It was lovely. And I always feel safe because I have skills to get a job. So I just kept that. I just kept whatever felt safe in my system, kept it. I could always get a job. I'm nothing, you know, I have my own back. I have these skills. And so you can remember that you can always get a job. And knowing your why, when I knew I will never work for someone else again, that was like it. I was like, I'm going to work for myself because I'm unemployable and I will just ruin it anyway. Because usually I'm like this, my ideas matter and I'm not being heard. And here I go. So I am the boss. And that's really that another really positive piece of that feeling of satisfaction and self-sufficiency. And if somebody loves their 9 to 5 and doesn't want to start a business, then they don't have to go into my program. You know, I really help people who want this, and that is the difference. It's like it doesn't matter what circumstance they have, if they want it and they know why. And if they don't know why, it's okay, because that's exactly what we do in module 1 is like I help them to deepen their why and go deeper on their why. And why, because if you want to quit, you got to go to your why. And then if you still want to quit, you get to create a deeper why. Talk about that. Yeah,
it's so important. And I think it's so important just for the wrapping up purposes. Like we need to know the why, then really get the positive mindset around money, make sure like what's all the good things it brings. And I can say for myself, it really is freedom. You can do good in the world. You can, like, if you feel that money is evil, like use it for things that are good. Like it actually buys you freedom. Like trust me, I've seen so many people, there's this misconception kind of even in a way, like, there's real freedom is when the money is not there. It's most of the time BS. It's such a BS, because those people are fucking struggling. They're struggling. They're not happy. They're not living in their peak state. They're not living in their full potential. They're struggling. So I think we have to accept the idea that money is good. It's so good. I feel like even in the spiritual world, the most evolved people there, they are abundant. They're abundant in everything, including money. So and for the closing, can you say, like, if people wanna start having better relationship with money and create the business, because that's also your expertise, you help them create business, what are the first things they should do? Like maybe 1 or I don't know, 3-4 tips.
Yeah. Well, the phases that I take my people through in my deep money program are to understand money from a different perspective. So if you have a perspective and you're stuck in that and it's one way and that's what you believe, you'll stay stuck, literally. So we got to start bringing that there might be other possibilities that we haven't even thought of. And so it's looking for evidence where the truth of that money is good. Look for that evidence, because it's so easy to go, well, money costs this and money costs that and money costs that.
I just got another one thing that I feel that people have ideas like, to earn a lot of money you have to work hard.
Right.
This is such a big one, right?
Yeah, and it's still linked in my heritage as well. But imagine if you had a good deal of money. What I do now is I hire people and I delegate. And so the more money I make, then I get to hire a team, and I have a small team. I delegate my processes to them, which I teach my people in the business immersion, these processes and the infrastructure of an actual business that makes money can have a team. That is when I really, really work 20 hours a week. My message is being dispersed, not by me. I'm the creative. I'm the creative, and I have more time to deliver. So I can take another client on, which is more money. And now I have people that I employ that have a great work environment, because I'm giving and I'm nice, and they get to work from their pajamas from home, and they don't want to be in the spotlight. Like, I wanted to be on camera. Like, I wanted to be out there sharing my voice. It was the deepest desire of my life. So yeah, does that answer the question? Yeah.
So the first thing, like, I wanted to have like maybe 3-4 steps that people can take to start to have a better relationship with money, and maybe even starting their own business if they're listening to us. Yeah.
So that money piece is getting clear on what are the beliefs that you feel like are not serving you anymore. And then we actually move into walking the wealth, because it's not enough to sit and chant affirmations all day. I love money and money loves me. Well, prove it. If you love money, spend it with the right people. If you love money, let it go freely. I talk about in phase 2 of my deep money program, this idea of circulation and this idea of currency. So money isn't, it's energy. We talked about that with the baby situation and the creation situation. It's a creative energy. It has a currency. It doesn't want to stay stagnant. So if it's in the bank account staying stagnant, at least give that bank account a name so the money knows that it's for something, so it can dance around and grow. It can get bigger. But there is also this idea of upper limits. So I'll talk on that very briefly, but Gay Hendricks is somebody who wrote a book called The Big Leap, and there are these upper limits that we reach that our nervous system and our minds, it's like, I've never seen an amount this big in my bank account, and we get nervous and we start making mistakes, and the money starts going. So I teach people to know their upper limit. We actually talk about money. Like you said, money is taboo. No, not in my world. And I've always been that chick. The first time I remember getting in trouble was because I was telling everybody in kindergarten that we were broke and we were poor. And then I got in trouble. So like, I am the chick to teach on money. But to know what that upper limit is, like, this is the most I've ever had, no shame, or this is the most I've ever had, but it wasn't earned on my own, so it feels different. And so we have these upper limits of what our systems think they can handle, and we get to, with support, start to create safety, like you said. So that's that next step. Once you know your mindset, once you've discovered and unlocked what it is that's holding you back, to start to create safety to receive more. So these are practices that actually work with the nervous system and actually work with rewiring our stories and the kind of primitive mind that would have us like, oh, let me just spend it all here and not spend it and invest it in ourselves. This is all like kind of actions that we take instinctually based on our trauma. So I take people through what are their actual money traumas, what are the stories, and then we start to walk our wealth. So I have a lesson in deep money on pricing like a boss and spending money like a boss, because making $101,000 in 1 year was great, and I invested over half of that into my business and into my personal self-development. And so I know these investments, they appreciate over time. Like I am so happy with those investments, and I feel the energetic capacity to hold more clients, hold more wealth. So actually walking that wealth, not getting all this money and then holding onto it and feeling bad about it, and actually like say a prayer to this money. And I give all my clients the prayer that I use when money comes in and money goes out, and really treating money like a friend. I also teach my people how to go on a money date where they come, because my biggest thing when I was looking at my bank, I know people who don't look at their bank accounts. They're fearful, and then they have a trauma response, or they'll pay for something, they have a trauma response, and this is all very normal. So I normalize that, but I help you to really have fun with money so that it wants to come more and grow and play with you, because you go on a money date and you use your senses to look, and whatever's there, you hold it neutrally. If it's not what you wanted to see, hold it neutrally. And if it's usually it's more than what you thought it was, and then you're like, woo, and then instead of just spending it on a weekend spree, which you can, like spending it with intention, investing in yourself and your business to grow. So those are the steps with money. And then on the business side of things, in my 3-month immersion, we start with mastering your message. And then we come into resonance. Like, what is the mindset of a 6-figure soulpreneur? Someone that's doing this from a space of being led by the soul, but wants to make 6 figures, $100,000, multiple 6 figures from their sacred gifts in the world. They doesn't want to have to do anything else. And that's really lovely. And then we move into consistency and actually creating the systems and the infrastructure that's going to have your business sustained over time. So it's not like you just launch your thing, like blow it up, like, I have an offer, and then you don't have the skills or the know-how to repeat that. So I give a repeatable process called my Love to Launch formula, where I teach you how to launch, how to create the event, how to create a buzz, how to create interest and desire in your offer. And then I get into the nitty-gritty on sales. Soulful selling as a service, selling as that conversation that you have with another human affects them for the rest of their life, whether they buy or not, where they feel held, where they feel seen, where they feel like safe to invest with us. And that's how we raise our prices. So all this month, I don't know when this podcast is coming out, but the replays will be in my group called Wild, Wealthy, and Well Known. There'll be twice a week free transmissions all around money. And that's all free. That's all valuable, going to be there for the people. And then in the next month or so, I'll be hosting Deep Money Live, which is specifically to help people raise their rates, like energetically, like go out. And people have worked with me in my business immersion. Like after the first month, they price their offer 3 times more than what they were planning on pricing. And it's just through the subtle tweaks that I help them make with their mindset.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. And like, I hope people really who hear this, like really need to like get the calling, But is there something that people can do, like few tricks that you would recommend, just if they feel they can't afford the course, or it's just not for them right now, but they really want to make these baby steps towards having better relationship with money and business?
Yeah, I mean, I really would come into my group because there's so much, there are so many free resources. So immersing yourself in a community where lack mentality is on its way out. So in my spaces, really even with my friends, if I hear lack mentality, I kind of like smack it out of my hands. Like if somebody wanted to go to the gym.
So you have a group?
Yep.
That's free?
Yep, a Facebook group.
Okay.
Yeah, and then my content on Instagram is pretty inspiring, but the group is really where we're going to come together as a community and start to practice these things. But I think the number one thing is to start giving money with a prayer. Start to give money with a prayer and receive money with a prayer when it comes in. Because whether I'm paid like $100 for my masterclass or someone pays me in full for my 6-month mentorship, which is $11K, it's like, I pray over that money. $100, $11K, it doesn't make a difference. This is going to go to something beautiful in the life. And I pray that the human that receives either the masterclass or the mentorship gets exactly what they need for the evolution of mankind, really. So,
well, beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing too. Is there something else you wanted to share?
I'm just so happy to be here. This is really fun.
Yeah, it is. Thank you so much. I feel I got so much out of it. Like, I feel like I want to just like go and write down some of the things around money, and yeah, I'm like super excited.
Yeah.
I hope I can get to work with you, because yeah, I'm planning to launch a lot of courses right now, and yeah, even hold the physical spaces. But I think it's beautiful thought to end with is prayer around money. Whether it's going out or coming in, always having the good energy in there.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.